Hello, 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 YouTube. Good night. This is Avery Pink-Lewin, and listen, I'm excited to talk to you a little bit. It's extremely late here in Atlanta, hello, YouTube. Good night. This is Avery. I should have known better. Um, yeah, so I wanted to get on real quick and talk a little bit about how to start a business. It's very critical at this point. If you want to start your business, I think my recommendation is to get started like now, right? And the reason why now is one, you get to jump in and take part in the end of year commerce opportunities, right? With all the holiday shopping and spending the e-commerce, the commerce that will happen online. And then really when folks are, depending if you're like an online service provider, if you have a skill that you would like to monetize, being in place in the beginning of the new year when everybody's like, hey, new year, new me, this is the thing that I want to do. I have set all these goals. You want to be in line with when folks set these goals to have a product in place so that they can buy, right? Especially it's a no-brainer if you're like a fitness person, if you're like a coach, a fitness coach, if you are a business coach, if you're, potentially like a life coach, people just have a different perspective on the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. And it would really behoove you to take advantage of when folks are most highly motivated. Now, we also know that it doesn't take very long before that motivation kind of fizzles off. And you want to be able to position yourself in the very beginning of 2024 to have to bring your audience into your business with a product, a service, some sort of offering. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how to bring buyers in, like people who are actually ready to pay. And I just talked a little bit about timing, which is a critical factor in bringing buyers in, right? When people are looking for something to purchase, you want to have your product and services available. So the timing is just right, but there's so many more things. So the timing is kind of like a given. And I think with fourth quarter upon us, and certainly with the beginning of the new year, those are amazing times to be aligned and to have either a renewed focus on your business, or if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, aspiring business owner, and you want to kind of, get on board and finally launch the business that you have been desiring to launch. This is really when you want to do it. You can, and I want to encourage you, because you're at the beginning, because you may have started and haven't gotten to that level where you thought you would be, or you haven't been able to monetize as you thought in your head before you actually started. You want to be able to use this time period to test out what it is that your offer, test out your messaging. And remember, everything in the beginning is a test. You don't know these things. The best thing about learning is you don't have to know it in the beginning. You just have to be willing to not know it and figure it out as you go along. And as you go along, as you take a step, each step will reveal the next one. That's the beautiful thing. So, jump right on in, but let me go ahead and cover these, I think it's 5 things. Is it 5 or it started off as 3, and then I started throwing some bonuses in. And I'm like, you know what, may as well just have a list of whatever the actual number is, right? But let's talk about it first. First of all, I need you to have some literal focus, right? Literal focus, and make some key decisions. And the reason why I always start with key decisions is that is going to frame what you do. That's literally what's going to frame what you do and how hard you go or how much you experiment, right? And it'll help you to devise a strategy that makes sense for what you're doing. I.e., if you made a key decision as to, at least at the very basic, how much money you're looking to make, right? And I'm not talking about, start a business, we're going to make 6 figures, or we're going to become a millionaire. I'm not talking about that one, right? I'm talking about a realistic goal, a key decision as to how much you're actually trying to make. And the reason why I say that is, listen, before you can make $100,000, you need to make $1 online. Before you can make $1 million, you need to flip that $1 and have it become $1,000. The thing that I do is I help my clients actually get to the 10-figure launch, right? A 10-figure launch. Sometimes that'll take, a few months. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But if you identify and make some of these key decisions, that will help you to manage your own expectation so that you don't give up prematurely or kind of give into, looking at other people and saying, hey, how are they able to do that? We're doing the same thing. We started at the same time. What's really going on? It keeps your eye on your own lane. And trust me, when you're online, when you're trying to start your business, you really want to keep your eye in your own lane for as long as you can, because everybody makes it all look so glamorous and so amazing. And just hear me when I say everything is not as glamorous as it is, as it appears to be. And folks are just liars. They just lie. They just lie. There's a lot of people out there that lie. And then those who are not lying, they're just really great marketers. And sometimes that's not the greatest thing either. So do me a favor, heed this advice to establish your lane. And because you're at the new, and again, this is intended for newer business owners who are just starting or who've started and are not seeing the fruit of their labor as they intend or thought they would. My advice to you is to really focus in on your lane, make some key decisions. That way, as you navigate your lane, you have the parameters in place and you were very intentional about what you did. And you want to be able to know, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? How long am I doing it for? And when is the point where I know I have to either refine or pivot? Those are so key. And then, so yeah, the biggest thing is, what am I actually going out for? So like I said, an easy one is like, what's your money goal? The second thing that I think you need to really have in place when you want to bring in actual buyers, start a business that actually brings in buyers and makes money from the jump. It's not that hard in 2023 to make money from the jump, because again, it's the barrier to entry is very low. It's extremely accessible. And there's so many ways that you can monetize. It is unbelievable. But the thing that I think is extremely important is you've got to be able to master your message. And what do I mean by master your message? It's two very critical elements that are at play when you master your message. Okay. Now, what I'm going to say is, in the beginning, is anyone that tells you that you need to know your why is not helping you build a business that brings in money. It's helping you build a business that brings in likes. And though that's important, I would like you to know that you can make money online without having a large social media following. I've had my 10K launches, and look at my social media following. I'm just getting started here on YouTube. I think across all of social media, I probably have, just a little bit less than 10K followers. So I don't have a huge following. And so I don't really focus on social media like tactics, right? My thing is really more about strategy, and social media is extremely important, especially we're talking about building an online business that brings in buyers, that actually brings in, that actually gets you paid from the start. That is extremely important for you to have a social media strategy and, be out there. But no matter how much you're out there on social media, if your messaging is shoddy, if your messaging is off, if your messaging is unclear, if your messaging is was not a thoughtful messaging, but it was just kind of all out there, I don't care how many times, you get online and you talk about what you have. If it's mismatched in terms of not really speaking to anybody, it's not really very clear on kind of what it is that you're bringing to the table and why somebody needs to listen to you, let alone why they need to open up their wallet and buy from you. There's some very clear things that your messaging should do. And all of these questions can be answered, and especially answered without you even saying, why should you listen to me? Because X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Like it should be so apparent in your messaging as you get online that people begin to want to follow you and be around you or listen to you so that they can get that information. And perhaps you're someone like me who much of what you've been doing and where you get your experience, and therefore, you know, the step before you do have a business online, perhaps has been a lot of referral based, you know, and that's a great thing, but it's also a not so great thing. And the reason why is because look at my numbers across social media. I don't really have online on social media. I don't really do a lot on social because I get my customers and my clients by word of mouth, by direct referral. And they see what I do, they hear about what I do, and they contact me because, you know, somebody shared my information. Now, I've been doing that since 2003. I've been freelancing, building a business, building my business, multiple different businesses since 2000 and maybe 2001, 2002. And the reality is there's no way you can get beyond a certain level. Like you hit that ceiling, you hit the ceiling because you can only, it's a finite number of people who are making these referrals. So while I am honest and I'm like, hey, I don't really have a big social media following. One, everybody starts at zero, so that's not even, it doesn't really even matter. But two, regardless of a big following, it's extremely important. And now I know better because I want to scale to a different number. Like my number is now over the 500,000 point that I'm going for in order for me to quit my 9-to-5. Like that's my golden number to be able to move out of that place. So I've got to do it differently. And that means getting on social, right? Journey with me because it's a new thing. So anyway, but that's not the point of the mastering your message, right? Mastering your message, the two critical components of mastering your message. One is to be very clear on the problem that you are solving, right? It has to be an actual problem that someone has to think through or that someone has to have, and you've got to have a solution. So what is the problem and what is the solution you're offering? That is very critical. When I say master your message, you got to be able to tell them, what do you do and how do you solve that problem? Like, what are you doing in your business? Why should they, not even why should they listen to you? That's a whole different topic. What do you do, right? And how are you delivering that solution? You want to be very clear on that. And the other critical component of mastering your message is finding I call it finding your audience and speaking to their pain. Finding your audience and speaking to their pain. Now listen to me and listen to me very well. You are not going to know the individuals who are considered your ideal client initially, right? You're going to have to, I don't want to use the term make things up, but you're going to have to do some critical thinking in order to have a profile that represents your ideal client. Now, the reason why I start with the ideal client is it defines the parameters for who you want to work with, right? There's a duality at play when we're talking about starting your business and making these and being very strategic about it, being strategic and making intentional key decisions and intentional moves in your business. When I told you earlier, if anyone tells you that in starting your business, that, you need to know your why. Run for the hills. Do not open your wallet. Do not send any money, because that doesn't even make any sense, right? And the reason why it doesn't make sense, because nobody cares about your why in the context of solving a problem that they have. Your why is not the solution to their problem. Now, you may be able to message your why that clearly draws a line or clearly supports why what you bring to the table should matter to them and how you solve their problem. Like there should be maybe there could be some kind of a connection there. But I'm so like, I do a internal eye roll every time I hear, know your why, know your why, know your why. That does not matter, because remember, I'm talking about bringing in buyers, right? Very clearly. I'm not talking about bringing in followers. I'm not talking about bringing in tire kickers. I'm not talking about bringing in people who are just kind of on the fence, or who just want to sit and listen to you, or even, kind of pow with you online, and just key with you. I'm talking about bringing in people who want to buy. Nobody who's buying cares about your why unless it directly relates to the problem that they have and how you're going to solve it. Okay. So those things are like, it was never a thing. I don't know why people used to say that. It's never a thing. I don't really care about your why if I'm looking to purchase something to solve my problem. How many times, and I don't say it to be mean. I want you to think about when you go to the store and you have an issue, what's your biggest concern? Is solving that issue. Now, you may want to, from a personal, you may have a personal desire to know the brand that you're purchasing from, support a certain brand. For me, I'm all down with supporting Black-owned businesses all day long. It is what it is, right? That's if I could put my dollars in a Black-owned business, I'm gonna do it. But if my problem gonna get fixed by, if my problem is just that, and I'm not sitting here trying to be like, hey, who owns this business? If my problem is that critical where I don't even look to see who owns the business, I'm trying to pay to get this solution to my problem. And my personal desire to support Black-owned businesses has minimized in light of my newfound need and stronger desire to get my problem solved. Okay. So I want you to realize the only reason why you shouldn't have a why is it'll motivate you, and especially in the beginning as you get your business, as you start to build your business, this why is what's going to motivate you to keep going, right? Like I'm starting on social media myself right here, right now. It's like probably nobody on YouTube. I don't even have YouTube open. It's probably nobody on there, right? And that's okay, because you got to start somewhere. Hopefully me modeling this is, helping someone be like, okay, I'm starting to see somebody I'm catching somebody who's starting this thing. And I've helped enough people to get started to know that it is a consistency thing, but it's just not showing up and hoping that people kind of subscribe and love you on social. That's definitely not it. It's literally bringing value. It's literally understanding what it is that you're at the beginning, you're kind of refining what you want to say, how you want to say it, and what you want to do. I think it's okay to do that. And you don't like the video, you turn it off. If you don't care, you leave it up. And you know what I mean? It becomes something that's searchable online and somebody will find it. So just realize there is a point that your why will, kind of defines. And then after that, it's really just meant to help keep you motivated, so that when you're talking to an empty room and, you can bring when you're talking to an empty space, you can bring your A game and It is 2:30 in the morning, and my husband literally just called me. I'm like, wow, I'm really trying to do, hang on. How crazy is that? Like, let me put this thing on mute because y'all are hearing Mr. MJ. Love MJ. Love MJ. So y'all over there hearing Mama say, Mama sa, Mama makusa. That's what y'all are hearing. Anyway, so that's the reason for your why, right? So let me go back to the point of finding your audience and speaking to their pain. You're not going to bring your why into this dialogue and conversation. You are going to talk to find your audience and have a message that is very clear, as you know, and brings them to the point of wanting to purchase. You are going to find your audience by showing up on social, by showing up and posting and, you know, doing all the things that allows you to leave a digital footprint so people can find you online. And you're going to speak to their pain. You're going to speak to their pain. And again, this is kind of where I was heading, where, you know, when you're just getting started, you don't know all of these things about your people. I want you to know nobody knows everything about their audience when they get started. It's the process of getting started and continuing to do and see who shows up. That helps you to refine your actual audience. It helps you to refine your buyer. When you are getting started, how do you make money from jump when you don't really know who your audience is? You focus on being that problem solver because you're selling the solution to a problem. You're not selling I have a safe space online for moms of, you know, moms who want to start a business. I mean, okay, moms who want to start a business in a safe space. I mean, how many of those are there, right? Do we need yet another one? That's like saying in 2023, I'm starting a bank. Now, people still start a bank, but the reason why they start another bank is because there's a very specific problem or a gap, right? It's either a problem for the consumer, or there's a gap that's clear that they've identified that they can fill through banking, right? And then they are going to message to that consumer why you want to choose their bank over another bank, why their bank is the bomb over the traditional banks, right? Because this is a newer bank that's starting. You see what I mean? Like, so as you're starting and coming to the stage, you want to be able to clearly articulate what's the problem you solve, and finding your audience means just showing up on social because they're everywhere, right? And as you begin to show up, you begin to see which platform you use. You look at your analytics, you see which platform is more engaging, or you just simply make a key decision, right? As the CEO of your company, your key decision that you're making is, I'm going to use YouTube. I'm going to use Instagram. I'm going to use LinkedIn. I'm going to show up on Pinterest. I'm going to do Facebook. I'm going to, you know, be on Clubhouse. I'm going to do Wisdom. I'm going to be on Twitter, or now X. Like, there's a key decision you're going to make, and then you're going to just do that, right? There's no right or wrong answer when you're like, where is my audience? You just got to show up and let experience, time and exposure uncover that. Okay. I want you to know that it's not a thing that you can sit here. And I remember taking this course a couple of years ago, and the person running this course was just really, you know, spouting off how sophisticated they are, how sophisticated of a grasp they have of their audience, and, you know, down to the TV show their audience loves, down to the handbags and purses that their audience carries, and all these amazing things, you know, that's very, very super specific. And I thought that was really interesting because as I am in that person's community, I saw none of that. I saw none of that. Right. And the thought was that, oh, my audience is this, and this is what I know of them to be true. And then, and the funny thing is, because I am in the space of marketing and communication, I know how to use the internet to find information on, traffic and traffic patterns. And I just do my due diligence for myself as I begin to, kind of know who to follow and all that stuff online. And, the platforms were saying something very different than what that person was clearly saying, that that's who their audience was. And I just thought it was really interesting. So is this really their audience, or, do they really even know their audience? Or maybe perhaps I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and that it switched. But the reality is you just really don't know that. You don't know that until you're getting out there or walking and moving and doing all of that. So don't worry about exactly like demographics and psychographics and all of those things in the beginning. When I am talking about, and again, I'm going to constantly reiterate, this is about bringing in buyers. Okay. Bringing in buyers. Okay. We're business people. We're starting a business, not an expensive hobby. We're starting a business. And in order for a business to thrive, right, we got to feed our baby. How do we feed our baby? With clients and customers, right? That's how our baby's going to grow. So, you want to focus on how to bring in buyers. Now, if your goal is revenue generation, this is why this is a key decision. So I'm kind of skipping around, but I want you to see how how key decision making ties in all throughout these very critical points. So a key decision you need to make is, what is my overall goal? So yes, I said you making a money goal. So a money goal of $1,000 a day versus 10,000 a day, that dictates a different level of effort on your part, a different level of perhaps showing up on social media. It definitely dictates a different level of investment from a software perspective to be able to manage the traffic that is required to bring in 10K in one day versus $1,000 in one day. Especially if you're trying to find an accelerated point. If you're good with organic and the way organic grows is, then it's a little bit more, I don't want to say slow, because it doesn't really have to be slow. But it's not as, it takes time. It takes its time. I don't know what your definition of slow is. And I think that's a nebulous word anyway, but it does take time. So I think it's important that key decisions are made. And one key decision is, where am I showing up online? Like for me, I just have never taken a like to Facebook. It's something about it, not even in my personal life. I mean, I even joined Facebook just because I was on my high school reunion planning committee. I mean, that's why I joined. I was, not really interested in the Facebook thing. And over the years, they have not been able to pull me in, but I realized that there's a whole lot of people on Facebook. And the more I'm active on Facebook is the more I can find clients, the more I can talk about clients, show my stuff, show my work, and the more clients come out the woodwork. So that was important. I didn't really take to Instagram, but I'm here, I'm giving YouTube a try. So, I took to Clubhouse. And then Clubhouse, they started doing weird stuff with the program, with the platform. And I'm just like, this doesn't make sense to me. I do not compute with what's happening on Clubhouse. So I rolled that back, and I've been trying out different platforms. So my key decision as it relates to where I show up to find my audience, like there's one business that I own that let me say not the only, the main platform makes sense that it's LinkedIn. So one of my business endeavors, it is absolutely critical that I am on LinkedIn, right? And that I do that. Even knowing that I'm not like actively super active on LinkedIn, it is what it is. I know that, and I'm working to change that. But there's only one business that I believe I really need to, is very platform specific. Everything else, I can find my buyers across the World Wide Web, across the entire internet. So when I say, well, I didn't really like Facebook, let me try out Instagram. And I tried out Instagram and I'm just like, Clubhouse grew my Instagram following, but I just couldn't quite get into it. I just couldn't get quite into it. And could have been the fact that, I just, whatever, not about me. But I think it's very important for you to know, when you find your buyers and speak to their pain, it's not finding your buyers and figuring out what platform, or just kind of guessing or pulling it out the air. I would suggest that you find the platform that makes sense for you, that is the platform where you're going to feel comfortable showing up consistently. Because when you do that, you're going to pull people on that platform. You're going to increase your subscriber, whatever, depending on the platform. You're going to increase the engagement. People will leave comments. They'll ask you questions. They know that they can count on seeing you. You're going to show up here. So think about that. So it's finding your audience is less about knowing which platform they're going to be on, and more about understanding you as the business owner in the beginning. And as you do that, again, you carve out an opportunity for your people on that platform, with the exception of, like, if you're a professional services firm and or like you're a career coach, or you're like a headhunting firm, like you want to be on LinkedIn, like that one is so super specific. It's a no-brainer. But if it's not something like that, you're going to find your people everywhere on the web, right? So the thing about mastering your message, again, it's really getting clear on the problem you're solving, and not so much worrying about who from a demographics and a psychographics perspective in the beginning, but you're really, really like, hey, find your audience and speak to their pain. And that pain and the problem is very closely tied together, which is why it's very important that you understand what problem you're solving, because now you can speak to the pain points. Now you can speak to the thing that they're constantly feeling, because it's most often pain, right? So again, we're either going to speak towards the pain because they want to reduce it or get rid of it, or we're going to speak to the potential. I just had it in my head. So you're going to speak to what they want to get rid of, or speak to what they want more of, right? You're going to speak to the thing that they desire. So it's not really pain, it's desire. Now, it doesn't really matter, because desire can be framed as the flip side of a problem, right? There's still a problem that they're having because there's a void that's not being met. So your messaging needs to be very clear on that. Why am I harping on the messaging and messaging first, other than strategy? It's because I'm a communications and messaging strategist, right? And I have, I've been in graphic and web design. I've been a freelance and graphic web designer for the last 20 some odd years. And when I tell you, everybody gravitates to the crayon box and the fun stuff, like the logos and the pictures and stuff, like they want the website, and they don't pay a lot of attention to what's the meat and potatoes of your business and brand, which is why someone is going to choose you. Why do they want to see you, especially now when there's a plethora of other options? Why are they doing it? And my best recommendation is to please don't let it be price, right? Price is not the answer. You don't ever want to be the cheaper version. And you don't ever want to be the new kid on the block that's the most expensive. Nobody's heard of you. So why are your prices so high? No, thank you. You know what I mean? So you want to be able to be very intentional, right? Intentionality is what I talked about earlier. Intentionality. Now, that's the first thing, right? So how to start a business and really get paid up front. You have a very strong message. You master your message by ensuring that you understand your problem and can speak to that. understand the solution that you're offering and can speak to that, but also you want to find your audience and speak to their pain. So you're able to make that connection, but the connection that demonstrates that you understand their problem, and therefore, because you have such a strong grasp on the problem, you likely have a solution, because whatever you're selling is likely the solution to that problem, okay? The second thing you need in order to bring buyers into your business, right? Bring in people who are actually wanting to buy. You need to have an irresistible, no-brainer, high-value offer, right? There needs to be something they can buy, but that thing needs to be irresistible, something that they cannot turn down, or they feel ridiculous if they do. They kick themselves. They be like, or they'll do the coulda, shoulda, woulda in the future if they let that cart close, or if they miss out and that timer gets to 0. You want to be able, they have to have some kind of regret and remorse because the offer was just so good. And the value was undeniable, okay? The value was undeniable. So I encourage folks to really take time with this one. Like I said, you never want to be the cheaper version of someone else out there in the marketplace. Why are they going to choose you over someone else when everybody and their mama is out here? You can't scroll on social media for, more greater than, 3 one of your thumbs going up before you see a sponsored post, before you see an ad. I mean, it's bombarded with everybody who's doing everything in every moment, and everybody has an offer. Your offer needs to be super duper, not just clear, but it needs to be irresistible. It needs to be no brainer. It needs to be jam-packed with value. And I'm not talking about that artificial value. Let me tell you another story. So there was this coach that I was working with, and she was not the most expensive coach that I worked with, but she was pretty far up there. Her course, her program that I was in was $15,000, right? And she had an offer, and it was a great offer, right? I think I lost my train of thought. High value. I think I was going on high value. That's where I was going, high value. She had an offer, which was a great offer. And it was enough for me to open my wallet. But I did not stay. I did not stay because it was not the value was not there. Like her process, so her messaging met my expectation as to what I needed in that moment. When I got in behind the doors, I was just like, it's not really what you said you were going to do. But that's a little bit different than high value. The reason why it wasn't high value for me, it was because, one, I'm the type of person that I need to know how to do a thing. I don't want to just blindly copy what you're doing. Because yes, I know, I see that you appear to be successful and you say you're going to give me all your templates, you're going to give me all the things, but you're not telling me why this was so valuable, because what that does is it limits my ability to grow. It limits my ability to know how to navigate and pivot and navigate different scenarios that come in my business if I never get the answer as to why. I only get the how, or I don't get the how, I only get the like the widget, right? So she had templates and codes for all the systems that she used, and well, not all, just one system that she used, but things that we could use, swipe files, you name it. And that's all great. But I remember it was I'm not big on Facebook, and certainly she was good in the direct marketing space. She was great in in ads. So when we got to talking about the ads, she said, here's a video that's going to help you with your ad. And in the video, it taught us how to create the exact same ad that was her high performing ad. And of course, me being me, I said, hey, coach, why is this a high performing ad? What made it so awesome compared to your other ads? Can I see some of your other ads so that I may make an inference of my own? Crickets, no answer. And I said, well, at least tell me what made it such a good, like, do you know why it's a great ad? And she goes, well, we just did a bunch of split tests and this is the one that performed the better. So I want you all to do this. And I replicated the ad and I got success. I just didn't know how and why. And not only that, the people who came were like, why did you like this ad? I don't know. So can I do it again and keep them engaged? There's just, I'm very thorough. I'm the person who I need to know why, because if I know why and how, and I get those details, that means I can replicate the same thing, right? Teach a man to fish, he'll eat every day. Now, there's the thing about knowing how to fish, but there's also knowing where's the best place to fish. And then, well, why is that the best place to fish? Somebody can literally say, well, in our part of the world, we have these type of fish and these type of fish. They don't swim in this type of water. They swim in shallow parts of water, and it makes it that much easier for you to have a great catch. That's great to know. That's insight. So now, in my mind, using that fishing example, if I need to catch a lot of fish, I'm going to find the places that match the place that was described as the best place to do it. But if I didn't have that information, I would never know. And I'm just going randomly to every water source, as opposed to being more strategic, because my goal is to get more fish. It'd be more strategic to go to the places, the water source that match the place, the habitat that fish that is in my part of the globe prefers. That's where they prefer to hang out. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, right? It makes sense. But she couldn't tell me why. And I'm just like, well, I feel stuck. And then she gave us, some templates, again, past a PowerPoint. And I'm like, this is great. Why does this work? She's like, just follow the process. And I'm like, I don't have a problem following the process. Clearly I didn't, because my audience grew on Facebook by a whole lot with that little ad that was not relevant to me, not relevant to my business. I don't know why people loved it. She showed me the strategy and it got a lot of people following my Facebook page. Is it a good match for my audience? Absolutely not. Do you want to know why? Because every time I post on Facebook, crickets. I'm not interested in vanity metrics. Like, if I'm going to grow on social, I want to grow and let the growth reflect the fact that people are engaged. They want to see what I'm doing. They want to, I'm pouring into them. I'm adding value to them. I just don't want to copy someone's strategy. Now, maybe there are people out there for that. So it's not that she was a bad coach. She just wasn't the right coach for me. Do you see that? So the person who talks and messages and talks about those things, I know I need to work with that person because they get me. I know now that this is not the type of person. When I hear things like swipe my greatest funnel, I wonder if they can tell me why. And then I just kind of look and see how they navigate on social. Is most of their content kind of like very high level that's not really strategic and then tactical? Their free content, can I see that? If I look it up, can people access them? Like, how do I get to them to be able to learn what they know? Like, that's my goal. My goal is to learn what I don't know, and I can only learn what I don't know by getting access. And so that, all of that to say, you want to make sure that I don't remember how that even tied into the no-brainer offer, but it does. Anyway, let's go to number 3 because this is getting a little long. Set the expectation. Okay, here's how you bring in offers. Like this one is like a no-brainer in and of itself, but trust and believe it is missed by so many people. And it's missed by a whole lot of newer entrepreneurs and folks who are just getting started because they're still in the space of getting comfortable being a business owner, really trying to fill that role and understand what comes with the role. But something so simple as having a very clear call to action, that will 10x, 100x your ability to bring in buyers. Why? Because when they get the call to action very clearly, specifically spells out that they need to buy something. If they click on it, they have an intention to buy. Now, the only thing is they need to understand the pricing, or they need to verify something else about the offer. But when they click on the sales page, they have already understood. You can say, oh, they have an intention to buy, or something about my offer was intriguing enough that they wanted to buy. They wanted to see the price. They wanted to know if they could afford it. They wanted to go beyond that. That's what you want to get. And when you are able to look at your analytics and see the amount of people that land on your page or your offer or wherever it sits, and the amount of people that clicks to go to the next step, it'll help you understand how strong of your message, how strong your messaging is, and how compelling and how much value your offer has, right? Do they find it valuable enough to even just click to the next step? And that's really key. So you want to be able to present a clear call to action. When it's to buy, say buy now. If it's to get on a wait list, say get on a wait list. But you need to be clear. So when you're managing their expectation. So if I click on a buy it now button, hey, buy this now, I'm going to check out the price. And if it falls within my range, I'm going to pick out my wallet and I'm going to buy, right? Unless I'm doing market research on a competitor or something like that. That's different. Unless I'm just curious about what this person's offering, that's different. But if, what they're offering is likely going to be on the landing page, and either it's going to have the price or they're going to make you click again to get the price. You want to be able to not, your actions are leaving clues for the person who owns that landing page. And I think it's important that we recognize that we can find out a lot of good things about our audience if we just kind of pay attention to the data, right? Data is amazing. Data. It's great, right? Build something on data. Don't bring something on wishful thinking. So anyway, so that's number 3. The other thing that'll help you bring in buyers is ensuring this was one of the bonuses, but this is number 4. Have a rock solid guarantee or something like that reduces their risk, and that basically addresses any objections that they have. Again, that's another part that's kind of woven into the messaging, and make sure you have something in there that addresses their calls out their objections, and that truly helps to minimize risk, especially for those who are risk averse. Like you want to be able to let them know, hey, and like, for example, that thing. So that first story I told about that course that I bought a few years ago, I remember, so the first thing you get to do is join the Facebook group. So once I paid, join the Facebook group, and that's why I remembered her talking about who her audience was. But then I got to the group, it was so much different. I mean, it was like, it wasn't women who loved whatever that TV show was at the time and had, these type of bags. It was literally men. It was like 62% male was in there. And I'm just like, what? maybe she had a pivot or something like that, trying to make it make sense. But all in all, it didn't really matter. The data shows, you can see who's in the group. So it was just a little bit of a mismatch to me. But the second thing that made me realize, this is just not for me, was I'm a person who believes that everything you do, your name follows it, is stamped on it, so it should be of utmost quality. And there was a whole lot of stuff in that was just, it was so distracting, to the point where I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, I paid for this, right? I think it's important that you recognize, I think it's important that, I don't know where I was going with that story. It's like, I'm sorry, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. But all in all, let me just get back to the point. That you minimize objections, and that you definitely are able to address, to have a money back guarantee, or some type of a guarantee. Like I am playing around with a few different guarantees. I have a coach who has said, hey, money back guarantee is a way for you to go. And I'm like, really? Mainly because I'm still in a learning phase, still in a growing phase. And it's not that I've never given someone their money back, because for whatever reason, people like to purchase websites and not be ready to do the work to actually get a website up and going. So I've had to just be like, you know what, when you're ready to actually move, you can hit me up and pay me again, or pay me, but realize if you take too long, it'll be at the next rate, because I give myself a increase every year. And I've done that for the last 7 years. So I think it's important that I'm that transparent. But the reality is you want to make it easy for someone to want to do business with you, to want to open their wallet, to want to buy. So a really good way is a no risk guarantee, or that your messaging address every single objection that they have, or the most common ones. And in the beginning, you may not know what the most common ones are, but listen, I think you can just let Google tell you, hey, Google, what are the top objections from clients that these type of people, business owners, have, or do they receive? And Google tell you, okay? If Google don't tell you, Chat GPT sure enough will, okay? And then the last thing that I had was leveraging technology, okay? Leveraging technology, and the right technology will make this thing easier for you. It'll make it easier for you and easier for the person who wants to purchase your stuff to buy your stuff, okay? If you're, rigging one system to the next, or it's not seamless, or there's like a lot of bugs, people are going to, it's a red flag, number one, and people are gonna be like, what kind of business is this where it's just all over the place? And two, if you don't offer, and leverage technology, and to offer the types of payments, payment plans, whatever your case is, it can really have a negative impact on you and your business. So I think it's very important for you to do that. So let me recap this, and then I'm going to go to sleep, because I got to be up. I got to be up in 2 hours. I got to be up at 4. What time? I got to be up at 5 a.m. To get on a prayer call. So number one was to master your message, and the 2 critical pieces of a message, and there's more, but at the very least, I need you to understand the problem that you're solving. And I also need you to be able to find your audience and speak to their pain. The second thing that I talked about was you need to have an irresistible, no-brainer, high value offer, okay? That value is defined by your audience, not by what you're giving, but what the audience will receive, the service, the product, whatever, the value you are providing. That's how you want to couch it, frame it, whatever, and make sure that people understand the problem that they are having. This offer is going to address it. It's going to take it away, minimize the pain, increase the pleasure, whatever. That's what you want them to know. And then third, you want to have a very clear call to action so that everybody's on the same page. When you click this button, I'm expecting you to take out your wallet and fill out your credit card details so that we can move this thing along, right? Very clear. So if it's click here now, we say register. That's cute. Register can mean free or paid. I need you to be very clear. Purchase, buy your seat, or join the coaching program. That one's okay, but I want it to be very clear, unless it's like, that reserve my spot. People like to say stuff like that, but the clearer you go, yes, I'm ready to buy now, right? Buy now. That's very clear. So you want to have a clear call to action. The fourth thing was minimizing their objections, or you want to address their objectives and minimize their risk. The one way that you can minimize risk is you can offer a really strong guarantee of some sort. And it doesn't have to mean something sloppy and loosey-goosey. Like, if you don't like what it is, then I'll give you your money back. No, we're not doing that. Not in 2023, not when we're trying to make our way towards, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. Your money back guarantee can be structured in such a way that you clearly articulate and decide, there's that word again, key decision. You decide what's the circumstances to give these people their money back. Okay. So it's, if this is a digital course, you got to make sure that you couldn't require that they complete the first 2 modules and show you, right? If it's 4 modules, complete half the course, showing you that they did the work, especially if you knew that after month 1, they should start seeing results based on whatever the course is. Then if they're not seeing results, then you can see, but they have to document the actions that they're doing, show that they are actually, that they also have this guarantee in place, and what they have to do in order to show it. Like, you want it to be that clear. So I think it's very important, very critical, that you have some form of a guarantee of sorts. Okay. I think that was it. That was 5. Okay. Again, my name is Avery Pink-Lewin, and I'm excited to begin my YouTube journey here. I am literally just walking and working this thing out. I'm giving myself grace to talk about all things that I feel that I'm interested in. However, I do maintain a focus on business. God might change that. He might be like, hey, I need you to evangelize on YouTube. I need you to intercede for people on YouTube. I need you to do this thing, and I'm just gonna have to pivot. I'm gonna pivot and do what he asked me to do, trusting and believing that once I accomplish my task and do what he asked me to, then he will release me to work in my business, and that everything will flourish because I put my hands on it, right? That's what I believe. So with that, y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. Those of you who are watching on the replay, I appreciate it. Nobody was here live, and I'm just saying that intentionally because it's not a big deal. let's get over the stigma of not having a large audience from the jump. That's not a thing. And I definitely want to encourage you to continue down this road, especially because those people who I know, we don't have an intention on paying for an audience either. So it's extremely important that we become consistent and we become very clear on the value that we want to provide, what we're doing for free versus not for free. Those are key decisions as well. So take some time, review the PowerPoint. Excuse me, no, not PowerPoint. Take some time and listen to this video again. I told you it's 3:11 in the morning. And post any questions you have below. I appreciate you all, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.